Welcome to another Orange County housing market update. My name's Ian Phillips. I'm a realtor here in Orange County and I love everything housing data. So I'm uploading weekly, if not daily videos, diving into the housing market, letting you know what's going on in different areas, as well as talking about the changes that I'm kind of seeing and where prices and inventory could go later in the year and into 2026. So if you're interested, subscribe for more. And if you're looking for a realtor in the area, reach out. I'd love to chat. We can go over a game plan and kind of see what is best for you and your situation. Let's get straight into the data. Okay, so looking at Orange County, you can see we are still in a seller's market. Homes on average are selling for list price. We'll talk about the days on market and the median sales price because these numbers are a little bit skewed. And month supply of inventory around 2.7, which has been on a steady increase so far in 2025. So the median home value, as you can see, is $1.2 million. And if you take a look at the chart, we are kind of starting to roll over a little bit. Now, I don't know if this is going to continue into the rest of the year to maybe be flat or if we're going to start a slight downtrend. Typically in the second half of the year, you won't really see prices appreciating every single month. You can see on a 12-month period, we are up 6% year over year. Month over month, we're down 0.3%. So we'll have to see if this is going to be the end of the year slowdown that we typically have in the housing market. As always, we are outperforming the overall state of California. This is the orange line right here. So Orange County continues to be in significant demand relative to most of the state. We'll take a look at the number of active listings because this is the hot topic that I want to discuss in this video. There are now over 4,500 homes available for sale, and we have not seen these numbers since July of 2022. If you're unaware, in the second half of 2022, we had about a 10 to 15% correction in Orange County. You can see that through the chart here, this is where that time period occurred. Prices peaked in 2022 at $1,073,000 and then dropped all the way to $990,000. So a pretty decent correction. Now in parts of the county, it was a 15 to 20% correction. I know the coastal market got hit a little more than the inland market, but in overall Orange County, it was around a 10% correction, give or take. This chart doesn't measure how low it got. It actually got to around $950,000 for the median home value. But active listings is definitely something that we need to keep an eye on. It has been on a pretty significant rise since the start of the year. December 2024, there were 3,100 homes on the market. So inventory has increased by a little over 50%. So pretty significant for considering the fact that I'm recording this video in June and we're halfway through the year. So this is definitely something that as a buyer or a seller, you need to keep an eye on. Understand that if you're planning on selling your home in the second half of the year, the house is probably not going to sell as fast as it was in the beginning of the year, as there is more homes available for buyers to choose from. And as a buyer, you have a little more negotiating power right now compared to the beginning of the year because inventory has increased. If we take a look at pending listings, which is an indication of buyer demand, it's pretty flat for the last few months. You can see in March, 2,000 homes in escrow. In May, 1,900 homes in escrow. So hopefully this continues to increase in the second half of the year. However, my expectation is that it remains pretty flat. Typically what occurs is you get less buyers in the market, but also less sellers. So pending sales kind of balances itself out as there's less homes hitting the market, but also less buyers stepping into the market. Number of sold listings, this is also flat for the last few months. No surprise, as pending is flat, sold will likely be flat as well. 1,007 homes a couple months ago, 1,700 homes, and 1,700 homes right now. So it's going to be interesting to see how Orange County reacts in the second half of the year. I know there's a lot of talk about potentially mortgage rates dropping down into the low sixes, which could get a lot more buyers into the market. They're expecting, as of right now, 2 rate cuts in the second half of this year, which wouldn't really move mortgage rates that much, but they're also anticipating 2 to 3 rate cuts in the first few months of 2026. So potentially we have an end of year slowdown where homes on average start to sell below list price. Maybe as a buyer, if you're thinking of getting into the market, you could start writing offers 5 to 10% below list price. It's what I'm doing with a few of my buyers right now. And sometimes it's kind of working. We're getting counters, which is a little lower than I actually thought the seller would be interested in going down to. So that kind of gauges how desperate some sellers are if there's a home that you actually really like that's on the market right now. So if we do get mortgage rates into the low sixes, into the high fives within the next 6 to 9 months, that'll probably get more buyers stepping into the market. But as of right now, my expectation is that number of sold and pending listings kind of remain pretty flat for the rest of the year. I know I'm working with a few sellers right now that want to get their home on the market sooner rather than later because when we get to the end of the year, like September, October, November, typically buyer demand is the lowest for the entire year. So ideally sellers would like to get their home on the market prior to hitting the last quarter of the year. Month supply of inventory, this is exactly the most important indicator that buyers and sellers need to keep an eye on. I don't see any real estate agents talking about the month supply of inventory. It's why I started posting videos, because so few actually show you what the data is. They just talk. They don't actually tell you with the numbers exactly what is going on. But 12-month change, month supply of inventory has increased 42%. If you're unaware why month supply of inventory is the most important factor that buyers and sellers need to consider, it's essentially demand in the market relative to number of homes available for sale. As month supply increases, it means either more homes are coming to the market or more buyers are getting out of the market. Now, as we've been increasing and inventory is increasing, it tells me that sellers have been outpacing buyers all year in Orange County. So we are now higher than May of 2020. So it's the highest month supply of inventory that we've seen in over 5 years. If this continues to increase, you're probably not going to see a huge amount of appreciation for the overall Orange County. Now, there are cities and areas where prices have been beat down pretty drastically. I know Laguna Beach prices have dropped around $400,000 since the start of the year. So that is a pretty significant decline, but inventory has skyrocketed over there. So there are those cities where you can get a pretty good discount on homes available for sale, something you haven't really seen for the last 2 to 3 years. So if you're a buyer looking in a specific city, reach out. We can talk about what's going on in that area and maybe how to get you a good deal relative to what's been available for 2 to 3 years. Some homes I'm writing offers on 10% below list price. We're getting responses from sellers. They want to work with us. And that is something that we haven't seen for 5 years in Orange County. So things are definitely shifting in favor of buyers. Now, if you're a seller, understand that if you're pricing your home at a wishful thinking price, which is what I like to refer to some listings on the market right now, you're probably not going to get much action. You're going to get very few showings, very few traffic through your open house. And your home is probably just going to end up sitting on the market until you have 1 or 2 price reductions. Now, in my opinion, if you're a seller, I don't think pricing your home for a wishful thinking price makes any sense at all in this market. You're just going to end up wasting a lot of your time because buyers aren't interested in homes that are overpriced right now. The homes that are selling quickly are the ones that are priced aggressively, priced to sell, either at or a little below market value. Those homes are still getting traction. So that's kind of my 2 cents, my advice on if you're a buyer or a seller in this current market and how you can navigate it. I hope you liked the video. That was all of what's going on in Orange County, showing you the actual numbers. Once again, my name's Ian Phillips. If you're looking for a realtor in the area, reach out. I'd love to chat, go over a game plan, get an idea of what's going on in the areas that you're interested in and how we can navigate that, whether you're a buyer or a seller. I'll see you in my next video.